Texas Rangers down at Camden Yards all week. Come one, come all, and certainly a big week in downtown Baltimore all the way around. Ravens with a couple of practices, including a military practice and fireworks and family. It is a real sports time here, and we're going to a place where it's always a sports time. The Big Apple in New York, the Giants on one field, and the Jets doing their thing. This guy covers all things Jets as the beat reporter at New Jersey Advanced Media, NJ.com, and our old friends at the Star Ledger. He is Daryl Slater on the Jets beat. You can follow his journey out on Twitter at Daryl Slater. That's 2 R's in Daryl, as well as at NJ.com/Jets. Daryl, first time in, man. Welcome. Certainly plenty of momentous news out of Jets camp already, right?
Yeah, they got a lot of it done early on before camp. Well, not necessarily early, but right before camp started with Muhammad Wilkerson signing. They got the Ryan Fitzpatrick deal done, and they signed their first-round draft pick, Darren Lee. So they pushed it right to the deadline, but early here in camp, they don't have any lingering contract issues and no injuries to speak of, but some news in that, you got your quarterback back as a Jet, and he's done all right so far.
Well, it's interesting for him because I don't know Ryan Fitzpatrick. I've watched him from afar in Buffalo and Houston and New York. I did get to spend a little time with him in March. He was here for the Ed Block Awards. He was the Ed Block winner. And, of course, that was right at the first couple of days of signability and the free agency period and really where the stalemate began. It feels like eons ago, bro. It was 5 months ago. It took them 5 months to get this done. And in the end, do you declare a winner? I mean, clearly the winner has to be the Jets because without him they wouldn't be much, and it really felt like he's the kind of guy that just would have stayed home this year and said, I don't think so. I mean, it felt that way to me that he was serious about it.
Well, he had said, I think, sometime after that there were some reports out there that he would potentially retire, and he kind of snuffed those out. He said he wanted to play. That was one of the few things that he definitely said, like on the record, that he wanted to play. So if that was a consideration of his, he was definitely keeping it to himself. But so if you look at who won, I think, a 1-year, $12 million deal, the Jets are not giving him as much guaranteed money as they offered in their previous offer, which is going to be $15 million. They're also, he also is going to become a free agent next offseason. So, does he win there? I mean, look, he can cash in, I guess, again next offseason, but, the guy's going to be 34. Will he be able to replicate what he did in 2015? So, I mean, the Jets are getting him for 1 year here and potentially more if, he ends up re-signing after his contract voids next offseason. So it was a little bit of give and take on both sides, I think. But, he wanted he looked at that offer they initially gave him, 3 years, $24 million with 12 in the first year, and thought, that's backup money for the last 2 years. And he was sort of offended by that offer. He figured at that point that they'd have to do it as a 1-year deal. And so that's what they ended up doing. He was amenable to a 1-year deal, and that's what they got. So he got his wish there. He didn't get as much guaranteed money as he could have, but he's fine with that. I mean, $12 million versus $15 million. He says he's doing all right financially anyway, so he's fine with that.
Well, obviously he's been at this a long time, and he is at the point where he's got to get his money because it's not going to be there to get at some point. And we can all talk about the shortcomings and problems in other places and the limitations that he might have. But for the Jets, boy, he was a nice, tonic for them last year. They were a good football team very, very quietly last year, right?
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of turnover issues with Geno Smith in 2013 and 2014. To be fair, Geno Smith didn't have the type of talent around him that Ryan Fitzpatrick had last season. I guess I'm speaking specifically about Brandon Marshall, who was really a huge factor in the Jets upgrading their red zone offense, which stunk in 2014 and was very good in 2015. So Ryan Fitzpatrick certainly did his part. Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker kind of made him look good at times, but he was a steadying force for a team that needed it after Geno Smith was punched in the face in the locker room by a teammate, broke his jaw, and Ryan Fitzpatrick took the job from there and never looked back. So keep in mind, I mean, Geno Smith was probably going to be the starter last season if that didn't happen in week one. He would have been the starter in week one if that hadn't happened in camp. So the Jets looked at their situation and decided Ryan Fitzpatrick was their best option. I mean, look, when you look at Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith, Fitzpatrick is a better player, but it's not like he's light years better. They're both guys who could kind of go either way, I think. You could have turnover issues with either guy, and the Jets have a really difficult schedule this year. So I think just because they re-sign Ryan Fitzpatrick and they have a game-tested backup in Geno Smith, behind him, that doesn't guarantee them a playoff spot because their schedule is very tough, and neither of those guys playing quarterback for them right now is an elite guy.
Daryl Slater covers the New York Jets for NJ.com and the folks at the Newark Star-Ledger. He's at Jets camp chasing them around right now. It's fascinating to me. There's weird stories everywhere. I mean, every week something bizarre happens in the sports world. I've never seen that before. But a quarterback getting punched out and losing his job in New York City and then having the backup come in, take the job, have an offseason. It's been a pretty tumultuous year, and I guess this camp can only be more quiet than last year's camp, right?
Yeah, and remember, it started out with Sheldon Richardson getting suspended in July last year, 4 games for marijuana tests, and then a couple weeks later he got pulled over for driving away from the cops at 140 miles an hour. And then Geno Smith's thing happened. So, that was a tough load to handle for Todd Bowles, who was not only in his first year last year with the Jets, but he was a rookie head coach. They had a rookie general manager. And Todd Bowles handled it as best as, he probably could.
Well, they won 10 games. This time last year, nobody would have thought that they could come anywhere near 10 games, right?
Right. This is a team that was coming off 4-12, and they were 5-5 through 10 games last year. And then they won 5 straight games, and then they lost in Buffalo. So, this is a team that people look at now and say they're in win-now mode because of how old their players are and how close they came to the playoffs last year. I think this is a team that if they don't make the playoffs, this year they'll be bitterly disappointed, even though it's going to be challenging because they're playing teams that are a lot tougher than they faced last year.
Well, and then there's the Patriots situation where you take Tom Brady out of that. You'd like to think it sort of has leveled the playing field for Rex in Buffalo, for Miami, for all of these teams that the Patriots aren't going to win 14 games this year. At least we don't believe they are, right?
Doesn't look like it. Unless they go 3-1 or 4-0, to start. If you look at 2-2, obviously then they'd have to go undefeated the rest of the way. But I certainly think it could help the Jets, even though they don't directly benefit in that. They're going to have to still play Brady twice because the suspension doesn't cover any of the Jets-Patriots games. So, certainly it could help the Jets. But it's not a situation where the Jets look at it and say, "Oh, okay, if we go 9-7, we'll win the division." That I don't think that's the case at all. This is a team that, I think they'd be happy no matter how they got into the playoffs, even if it's a wild card. But obviously they'd like to win the division and take advantage of Brady's absence there.
From your perspective on the Jets, are you optimistic, or are you wait and see and think maybe they overachieved last year? And certainly, as you pointed out, they got hot at the right time of the year. They were a better team in December than they were in September.
Yeah, I think this team this year is a little bit better than last year. It's certainly not worse. 10-6 last year. I think this team has 9-7 potential this year because of how much tougher their schedule is, especially early in the season. 10-6 I think is a stretch. Is 9-7 going to be enough to get them in the playoffs? I don't know. But look, there's a lot of tough stretches in the schedule early on. And if they stumble out of the gates, then you might look and say, "Oh, geez, well, 9-7 isn't going to happen." But yeah, I'm optimistic in that this is a team that has proven veteran players, and if they can stay healthy, which is, for a guy like Brandon Marshall, for a guy like Matt Forte, that's a big thing because obviously those guys have dealt with some injuries that have limited them. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he played through the sun last year, but he broke his leg the previous year. Can he play as well as he had a career year last year? Is there any way he replicates that against tougher defenses this year? I think in a vacuum, I'm optimistic about the team in terms of their talent, but you also have to look at, they'd probably have to be much more precise than they were last year because that schedule is so much tougher. They go to Pittsburgh, they go to Arizona, they play Cincinnati in the opener, and the list goes on. And obviously, they have to play the Patriots twice, but those newer games are what's going to boost the sort of challenge level of their schedule.
Yeah, looking up and down the roster, I'm kind of shocked at how veteran they are. It's been a little while since I've looked at everybody's roster up and down. It feels like if they have over 30 practice day off, half the team would be off, right? They are much more veteran, and were left that way from Rex than maybe we remember 2-3 years ago when they were really scuffling the last couple of years under Rex.
Totally. I mean, you look. I mean, their left tackle Ryan Clady. I mean, these guys aren't all 30, but these are all vets, like 7-year guys type deal. Ryan Clady, their right tackle Breno Giacomini, Fitzpatrick, obviously, Matt Forte, Brandon Marshall. Eric Decker's still like 27. You look on the other side, you have Terrell Revis,
sure.
Middle linebacker David Harris. These are hugely important guys to their team that, like you said, are 30, pushing 30, or over 30.
Hey, great having you on, man. I appreciate the observations at a Jets camp. We'll check in again as the summer goes on here. But, they're making as much news. You didn't know your quarterback was going to be 2 weeks ago. At least you figure that part of it out. He is Daryl Slater, Jets beat reporter at New Jersey Advanced Media. That's NJ.com. You can also follow him out on Twitter at Daryl Slater. Grateful for the visit. Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Daryl Slater out in the swamps of New Jersey, although they're in New York. They used to play. Well, they play in New Jersey. They practice in New York. It's complicated. All I know, Springsteen's at the Meadowlands, a couple of shows at the end of August. That's good news for me. Any month where I can say Springsteen somewhere, that's good. We'll take that in. You can find me in the Bahia Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We come in crystal clear. Anything you miss, and we're going from camp to camp across the NFL, as well as monitoring the Orioles at home this week and the back end of the trading deadline, as well as we're now into August. We got Rio, we got Olympics going on. All of that in the WNST morning newspaper comes to you first each and every morning, all powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, right to your email inbox, free of charge, and brought to you, as I said, by Planet Fitness, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. Any breaking news that happens out in Owings Mills or with the Orioles, you'll get it first on the WNST Tech Service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Last but never least, next Tuesday night, we're bringing our head coach, Brian Billick, our partner at WNST, on behalf of the Living Classrooms Foundation, up to Carroll County. We'll be back in Hampstead at Greenmount Station. I'll have 2 crab cakes and a cocktail. We'll be doing some radio, chatting with Coach about Dennis Green, about the Ravens season, about the offseason. Come on out, meet the coach, say hello, get a picture, say hello to Brian. We bring him out a couple times a year. This is our first opportunity to engage here. We're going to be doing a lot during the football season for There Goes My Hero and the Bone Marrow Registry. We will be swabbing at Greenmount Station on Tuesday with Brian. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Taos in Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports. Thanks, Daryl. Appreciate the time, bud.